Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson, BamaInsider.com, coming to you actually from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Came up to the mountains for a couple of days just to kind of get away from all the stuff that's been going on, obviously. But we're still breaking down college football. We're still talking Alabama football. Still taking care of each other out there. Hope you guys are being good to one another. A couple days ago, I posted a couple videos throughout the days talking about the quarterbacks, talking about the running backs. Today, I am talking about Alabama's wide receivers going into the 2020 season. As you saw yesterday on BamaInsider.com, Alabama will not be having a spring game. Alabama will not be holding a pro day. Tua Tagovailoa's pro day, which was scheduled for April 9th, will not be taking place, at least at Alabama. He could have a pro day somewhere else, I assume. But today we're talking about the Alabama wide receivers, and as you would guess, there's some big shoes to fill with Henry Ruggs vacating and Jerry Jeudy vacating. But as you know, Alabama just reloads. But when we look at the projected depth chart going into 2020, I mean, you got some fantastic wide receivers. The rideouts will continue to be elite at Alabama. John Mechie is a guy that I think you all know from his freshman season, won the A-Day MVP. And while I think it's going to be hard to duplicate any of the success that Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs had at Alabama, I think that these guys are just going to step in and continue to represent and continue that legacy of big-time wide receivers. John Mechie is a guy who he's not a big wide receiver by any means, but he's very quick, Velcro-esque hands, can make the play after the catch. I think he's one guy who certainly has a breakout season during his sophomore season. I mean, he would have been very dependable last season having caught more footballs. He just, couldn't get him on the field that much just because there was so much talent at the wide receiver position. So I think John Mechie really steps up in 2020. He's probably going to be at the Z position. Behind him, you have Xavier Williams, who will now be a redshirt sophomore. And then you have incoming freshman Trayshawn Holden. And that looks like the Z position for Alabama. So I certainly expect John Mechie to rise up and have a very dynamic year. I think he's going to be, similar to Jaylen Waddle in the sense that he can make you miss. He can be a playmaker. He can be a guy who runs exceptional routes, has great hands. So, you're not going to fall too far off after losing Jerry Jeudy, right? I mean, John Mechie is going to be big-time baller. As you know, at the X position, it's going to be Devonta Smith, a.k.a. Smitty, returning for his senior year. And how big was that? I mean, it's up there with Najee Harris and Dylan Moses. These guys returning for unfinished business. Devonta Smith is a guy who I felt at times last year, I mean, he was the best wide receiver in all of college football. And that says so much because you look at the wide receivers in college football that are going into the NFL draft, and they're exceptional. I mean, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs. I mean, Devonta Smith was right up there with those guys. And he's been a guy that has been overlooked, overshadowed. Nobody's talked about Devonta Smith. Left off All-American, left off SEC, all-conference teams. And it's ridiculous because this young man is fantastic in every facet of the game. Hard worker, humble, leads by example. Just a guy that every coach would want on their team. A guy with great hands, great after-the-catch moves. He's not a big wide receiver, and same thing with the receiving corps last year. I mean, these guys are actually probably smaller when you look at the three starting wide receivers than last year. And last year, the wide receivers weren't big wide receivers. I think overall, it's with Devonta Smith coming back, I think he's going to be a guy who certainly has a monster season. I don't know if it's going to be as big of a season as he had last year because the numbers he put up last year were ridiculous, right? And behind Devonta Smith at that X position is Terrell Shavers, redshirt junior, 6'6", 210 pounds, probably like a 4'4" type guy. Is Alabama going to find a way to get him to football? Can he get on the field? We've been talking about Terrell Shavers for a long time now. If Steve Sarkisian can be creative and somehow get him on the field, if Terrell Shavers can prove that he can get on the field and create mismatches on the field, man, he's going to be tough to deal with. You're talking about a guy who could be, a breakout player, on the verge of being a breakout player. We really want to see what Terrell Shavers can do at some point, right? He's got to do something. Javon Baker is going to be a freshman. He's out of Georgia, yet to arrive on campus. And then you have Dow Jones Bell, who's also going to be an incoming freshman. Those guys are at the X position. At the slot position, I mean, geez, Jaylen Waddle coming back. You got to think when you look at the Heisman voting list that he would be up there, that he would be a guy who, would at least have some decent odds to be a Heisman contender. But actually, he's not. I mean, you have a lot of other guys ahead of him, which is surprising because I've said it again and again. Jaylen Waddle, if used correctly, definitely the most dangerous player in all of college football. I mean, what he did against Auburn was mind-blowing. Go back and watch that Auburn game while you have some downtime. Jaylen Waddle became Jaylen Superman. It was unbelievable how he took over that game in terms of just being an overall playmaker, being someone that has that ability to be a game breaker on special teams at the wide receiver position, become clutch. I mean, Jaylen Waddle has it all. I mean, this guy, I think, is going to not only have a monster year in 2020, but also have a monster career in the NFL. I think he's designed to succeed. I mean, you're talking about elite level speed. And, I mean, just I can't believe him and Devonta Smith are back for Alabama. I mean, my goodness. That is a lethal combination. Behind Jaylen Waddle at the slot position, you got Slade Bolden. Slade Bolden's a guy, who Alabama likes to use in a variety of positions. Like to use him at that wildcat position. Threw a touchdown pass last year. Had him on special teams. Slade Bolden is a guy who was a former Louisiana Gatorade Player of the Year. A lot of people really like his ability. Actually plays scout team quarterback when Alabama faces a quarterback that can move around. And then you have Chadarius Townsend, also at that slot position. Chadarius Townsend has been all over the field for Alabama. Rep with the running backs last year because of depth issues. And now he's back with the wide receivers. He's a guy, that has a lot of ability. Obviously, he's an athlete. He can play all over the field. So maybe in some capacity, Chadarius Townsend, now a redshirt junior, gets on the field. But, I mean, overall, when you look at Alabama's projected depth chart, the wide receiver position, I mean, these guys are dangerous. I think this is the most dangerous wide receiving unit in all of college football. Who has better wide receivers than these guys? Seriously. Devonta Smith, Jaylen Waddle. You don't even know about John Mechie yet. Terrell Shavers. I mean, that's a ridiculous group of wide receivers. I think whoever the quarterback is, and we talked about the quarterback, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, I mean, they're going to have so many options to distribute the football. Steve Sarkisian, back for a second season at Alabama. Thought he did a great job getting the football to the receivers last year. I mean, this is another lock and load season. So, wide receiver, no surprise, loaded at Alabama. I hope you guys have enjoyed this commentary talking about the wide receivers. We appreciate your comments in the comment box. Please remember to like and to subscribe. I'm coming to you from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Up in the mountains for a couple days with the fam. Be back in Tuscaloosa soon. Stay safe. Take care of each other. We'll talk soon on BamaInsider.com.